The stars looked different from the bridge of the ISS Endeavour. Captain Jake Morrison stood near the large viewing window, watching the asteroid field drift by. His ship had been in the Kepler 442 system for 6 weeks now. They were mapping the outer regions, looking for valuable minerals. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. Jake was a tall man with short brown hair and tired eyes. He had been in space for 15 years, ever since Earth joined the Galactic Union. The Union was a group of alien species that worked together. Humans were the newest members, and most aliens still did not know much about Earth. The crew of 23 people were getting restless. Kate Sullivan, the communications officer, sat at her station looking bored. She was young, maybe 25, with red hair tied back in a ponytail. She had been monitoring the radio channels for hours with nothing interesting to report. Then something changed. Kate sat up straight, her fingers moving quickly across her control panel. Her face showed confusion, then concern. "Captain," she said, "I am picking up a signal. It is a distress beacon." Jake walked over to her station. A distress beacon was unusual. This system was supposed to be empty. No one lived here. No ships came through here regularly. "Where is it coming from?" he asked. "One of the big asteroids. The computer calls it KB447. The signal is old, Captain." "Really old?" "It is using an encryption system from at least 20 years ago." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. 20 years was a long time. Humans had only been part of the Galactic Union for 5 years. This signal came from before humans even knew aliens existed. Ryan Cooper walked onto the bridge. He was the chief engineer, a stocky man from Texas with strong hands and a friendly face. He had been working on some broken equipment when he heard the alert. "What is going on?" Ryan asked. "We found something," Jake said. "Kate, can you decode the message?" Kate worked on her computer for several minutes. The bridge was quiet. Everyone waited. Finally, Kate spoke, but her voice was soft and worried. "It says it is a research station. They were studying something called a void stalker. The last message says the subject escaped. They told everyone to evacuate. The message ends with a warning. It says, 'May the stars have mercy on whoever finds this.'" Jake looked at the date stamp on the message. His stomach felt tight. "That message is 23 years old," he said quietly. The bridge became very quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. Something dangerous had escaped from that research station. It had been free for 23 years. And the Endeavour was right here in the same asteroid field. Ryan scratched his head. "What is a void stalker?" "I do not know," Jake said. "But I think we need to find out. Kate, search the Galactic Union database. See if you can find any information about this creature." Kate typed rapidly. After a moment, she shook her head. "Nothing, Captain. There is no record of any creature called a void stalker. But that makes sense if this was a secret research project." Jake made a decision. He knew it might be dangerous, but they needed to know what they were dealing with. If this creature was still alive, other ships might come here. Other people might be in danger. "We are going to investigate," he said. "I will take a small team to the research station. We need to find out what this void stalker is and if it is still a threat." Ryan nodded. "I will come with you. If there are any computers still working, I can get the data from them." "Good. We also need security." "Where is Linda?" Linda Hayes was the security officer. She was a former Marine who had fought in a small war with an alien group called the Zephon Confederacy. She was tough, smart, and always ready for trouble. Kate called Linda to the bridge. When she arrived, Jake explained the situation. Linda listened carefully, her face serious. "A research station with something dangerous that escaped 23 years ago," Linda said. "And we are going to walk right into it?" "Yes," Jake said. "I know it is risky, but we need to know what we are dealing with." Linda smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had faced danger before and was ready to face it again. "Then let us gear up. I will bring weapons. Lots of weapons." An hour later, Jake, Ryan, and Linda were in spacesuits loading equipment into one of the Endeavour's small shuttles. The shuttle was designed for short trips between the ship and asteroids. It had basic life support and some tools for mining work. Linda brought 3 rifles, several pistols, and enough ammunition to fight a small war. Ryan brought computers and tools. Jake brought a sense that they were making either a very smart decision or a very stupid one. The flight to asteroid KB447 took 30 minutes. As they got closer, they could see the research station. It was built right into the asteroid, with tunnels and rooms carved from the rock. From the outside, it looked dead. No lights, No power readings, nothing. But when they reached the main airlock, they saw something that made everyone nervous. The airlock doors were bent and twisted. Something very strong had forced them open from the inside. The metal was torn like paper. Linda touched the damaged metal with her gloved hand. Whatever did this was incredibly strong. They entered the station carefully. Emergency lights still worked, giving everything a red glow. The air was gone, sucked out into space 23 years ago. They walked through empty corridors, their boots making no sound in the vacuum. The living quarters showed signs of a quick escape. Personal items were scattered everywhere. In the cafeteria, they found food still on plates, now frozen solid. But there were no bodies. No signs of the people who had lived here. The research lab was different. Here they found evidence of violence. Deep scratches marked the walls as if something with huge claws had attacked them. Equipment was smashed. And there were dark stains on the floor and walls that their suit computer said was blood. Ryan found a computer terminal that still had power. He connected his equipment and started downloading all the data. As he read through the files, his face grew pale. "Captain," he said slowly, "you need to see this." Jake and Linda gathered around the screen. What they read there made them understand why the researchers had sent such a desperate warning. The Void Stalker was not just dangerous. It was a perfect killing machine from a world worse than anyone could imagine. And it was still out there, somewhere in the darkness of the asteroid field. Ryan read the information from the computer screen out loud. His voice shook a little as he spoke. The Void Stalker comes from a planet called Keth 7. The Galactic Union rates planets by how dangerous they are. Earth is rated Class 10. Keth 7 is rated Class 12. That is the highest rating possible. Jake felt his mouth go dry. Earth was considered a death world by most aliens. The gravity was strong. The weather was harsh. The animals were dangerous. Most alien species found Earth terrifying. And this creature came from somewhere even worse. "What else does it say?" Linda asked. Her hand rested on her rifle. Keth 7 has gravity twice as strong as Earth. The air is poison to most life forms. The temperature goes from boiling hot to freezing cold every day. The Void Stalker evolved to hunt in complete darkness. It can survive in space for short periods. It has camouflage that makes it almost invisible. "How does it hunt?" Jake asked. "It senses electrical signals from living things. It can detect prey from 5 kilometers away. It is 3 meters tall, has 6 limbs, and can move on 2 legs or run on all 6. The researchers said it was as smart as the most intelligent species in the Union." Linda whistled softly. "So it is big, strong, smart, nearly invisible, and can sense us from miles away." "Great." "There is more," Ryan said. "The last research notes say the creature learned how to use tools. It figured out how to open doors. It understood the station layout. That is why it escaped. It was not just strong. It was intelligent enough to plan." Jake looked around the damaged lab. 23 years ago, scientists had been studying the most dangerous predator anyone had ever seen. They thought they could contain it. They were wrong, and now that predator had been hunting in this asteroid field for over 2 decades. "Download everything," Jake ordered. "We need all this data. Then we leave." Ryan worked quickly, copying files to his portable computer. The download would take a few minutes. Jake and Linda waited, watching the shadows. The red emergency lights made everything look strange and threatening. That was when the lights went out. All of them. Suddenly, the lab became completely dark. Jake turned on his helmet light. So did Linda and Ryan. 3 beams of light cut through the darkness. "What happened?" Linda asked. Then Kate's voice came through their helmet radios. She sounded scared. "Captain, we are reading a massive power drain at your location. Something just activated the station systems. The computer shows power flowing to doors, environmental controls, and security systems." Jake understood immediately. The Void Stalker had learned to use the station systems. It knew they were here. It was using the computers to trap them. "Ryan, is your download finished?" "Almost, just 10 more seconds." Jake checked his suit display. It showed the layout of the station around them. A red dot appeared on the screen, moving fast. It was in the corridor behind them, between them and their shuttle. The dot was getting closer. "It is coming," Jake said. "Ryan, we need to move now." "Done," Ryan said, unplugging his equipment. "Let us go." They ran toward the exit, but they had to go through the corridor where the creature was. There was no other way to reach their shuttle. Linda took the lead, her rifle ready. Jake was in the middle. Ryan brought up the rear. They heard it before they saw it. A sound like metal being torn apart, then a clicking noise like claws on rock. The sounds came from ahead of them in the darkness beyond their lights. Linda stopped and raised her rifle. There. At first, Jake saw nothing. Then he noticed a shimmer in the air, like heat waves. The shimmer moved fast and fluid. It was the size of a car, but it moved like a hunting cat. Linda fired. The rifle made no sound in the vacuum, but Jake saw the flash. The energy bolt hit the shimmer. For just a second, the camouflage failed. They saw the Void Stalker. It was worse than the pictures in the files. Much worse. The creature was huge, covered in black scales that looked like armor. Its head was long with too many teeth. 6 powerful limbs ended in curved claws. And its eyes. Its eyes glowed with an intelligence that was terrifying. Then the camouflage came back and it vanished again. Linda fired again and again, forcing the creature back. "Go, I will cover you!" They ran. The corridor seemed endless. Behind them, they heard the creature following. It was not running at full speed. It was herding them, driving them where it wanted them to go. They reached a junction. Jake checked his display. Left would take them to the airlock and their shuttle. Right led deeper into the station. "Left!" he shouted, even though there was no air to carry sound. They communicated through radio, but old habits died hard. They turned left and ran harder. The airlock was close now. Just 50 meters, 40, 30. The Void Stalker appeared in front of them. Somehow it had gotten ahead of them. It knew the station better than they did. It had cut them off. The creature dropped its camouflage. It stood on its back 4 legs, the front 2 raised like arms. It was showing them what it was. A perfect predator, the top of the food chain. It made a sound, transmitted through the metal floor. A deep rumble that Jake felt in his bones. Linda did not hesitate. She pulled a grenade from her belt and threw it. The grenade bounced once and exploded. The blast threw the Void Stalker backward into the wall. "Run!" Linda screamed. They did not need to be told twice. They sprinted past the stunned creature and reached the airlock. Ryan hit the control panel. The inner door opened. They threw themselves through. Ryan slammed his fist on the close button. The door started to close. Through the gap, Jake saw the Void Stalker recover. It charged toward them, moving faster than seemed possible for something so large. The door closed just as the creature reached it. There was a massive impact. The whole airlock shook. The door bent inward slightly, but it held another impact, and another. The creature was trying to break through. "Shuttle, now!" Jake ordered. They ran to their shuttle and climbed in. Ryan started the engines. As soon as everyone was secured, he launched. The shuttle pulled away from the station, accelerating hard. Jake looked back through the rear camera. The airlock door exploded outward. The Void Stalker emerged, floating in space. For a moment, Jake thought it might chase them. The creature could survive in vacuum for a while, but the Stalker just watched them go. It had learned something about them, just as they had learned about it. They had invaded its territory and it had let them leave. This time, as they flew back to the Endeavor, none of them spoke. They had just met the most dangerous predator in the galaxy, and somehow they had survived. But Jake knew this was not over. The creature was still out there, and they needed to decide what to do about it. The conference room on the Endeavor felt too small. Jake sat at the head of the table. Around him were his senior officers. Ryan was there, along with Kate and Linda. Nicole Brown, the ship's xenobiologist, had joined them too. She was a small woman with glasses and quick, intelligent eyes. Jake had shared all the data from the research station. Everyone had read the files. Everyone understood what they were dealing with. The silence in the room was heavy. Nicole was the first to speak. She looked at her tablet, scrolling through information. "This does not make sense," she said. "The Void Stalker should be dead. Creatures from high-gravity Deathworlds have very fast metabolisms. They need to eat constantly. Without food, it should have starved within a few months." Ryan leaned back in his chair. "Unless it found food," Kate typed on her computer. "I checked the records. Captain, 17 ships have gone missing in this system over the past 20 years. No distress calls. No wreckage found, nothing." The room became even quieter. Jake felt sick. 17 ships. How many people had been on those ships? How many crew members? He asked. Kate looked at her screen. Her face was pale. Based on standard crew sizes for those types of ships, about 430 people. Linda closed her eyes for a moment.
430 people.
All hunted by that thing. Nicole looked at the research notes again. There is something else. The scientists were studying its intelligence. Their tests showed that the Void Stalker could solve problems as well as the smartest species in the Galactic Union. It learned from experience. It adapted. So what you were saying, Jake said slowly, is that we are not dealing with just a dangerous animal. We are dealing with an intelligent hunter that has been perfecting its skills for 23 years. Exactly, Nicole said. It knows how ships work. It knows how crews behave. It has turned this entire asteroid field into its personal hunting ground. Ryan stood and walked to the window. Outside, asteroids drifted through the darkness. Somewhere out there, the Void Stalker was waiting. So what do we do? He asked. We cannot just leave. If we do, more ships will come here. More people will die, Kate spoke up. We could warn the Galactic Union, send them all our data. Let them handle it. That will take months, Linda said. They will need to organize a mission. Get ships. Get weapons. Get people willing to face that thing. How many more ships might come through here while we wait? Jake looked at each of his officers. They were scared. He was scared too, but they were also the only ones who knew the truth. They were the only ones who could do something about it now. He made his decision. We neutralize it, he said. We hunt it. Everyone stared at him. Kate looked shocked. Ryan looked thoughtful. Linda looked determined. Nicole looked worried. Hunt it, Kate said. Captain, that creature is from a Class 12 Deathworld. It has killed hundreds of people. How can we possibly hunt it? Jake stood up. He looked at each of them. Because we are humans, he said. We come from Earth. Earth is a Class 10 Deathworld. Our ancestors spent millions of years learning how to hunt the most dangerous predators on our planet. We hunted creatures bigger than us, faster than us, stronger than us. And we survived. We did not survive by being the strongest. We survived by being the smartest, Linda smiled. It was a fierce smile. The captain is right. Humans are hunters. It is what we do. This Void Stalker might be the perfect predator on its world, but it has never met human hunters before. Ryan nodded slowly. We would need a plan. A good plan? That thing is fast and smart. We cannot just shoot at it and hope for the best. I know, Jake said. We need to study the data, find its weaknesses, figure out how to trap it. This is not going to be easy. Nicole looked at her tablet again. She read through the research notes carefully. Here, she said. The researchers noted that the Void Stalker avoided areas with strong electromagnetic interference. The EM fields disrupted its ability to sense prey. The camouflage became unstable too. Ryan grabbed onto that idea. We could use that. If we set up EM generators in a specific area, we could create a trap. We could force it into a place where its advantages are reduced. And then what? Kate asked. Even without its camouflage and sensing abilities, it is still huge and dangerous. Nicole thought about this. We need to think like hunters from Earth. In nature, when humans hunted dangerous animals, they did not rely only on weapons. They used traps. They used bait. They studied their prey and used its own behavior against it. Jake felt excitement building. This could work. It would be dangerous, but it could work. The Void Stalker thinks of ships as prey, he said. It has been hunting ships for 23 years. It knows their patterns, so we give it what it expects. We make the Endeavor look vulnerable. We make it think we are easy prey. We lure it to a place of our choosing. Linda stood up. I will need to train the crew. If this goes wrong and that thing gets on our ship, everyone needs to know how to fight. Good, Jake said. Ryan, you work on the EM generators. Figure out how many we need and where to place them. Nicole, keep studying those files. Find every weakness you can. Kate, I need you to program false malfunctions into our systems. We need to look like a ship in trouble. Everyone nodded. They had their tasks. They had a plan. It was risky, but it was better than doing nothing. Over the next week, the crew worked constantly. Ryan and his engineering team built EM generators and deployed them throughout a cluster of asteroids. They disguised them to look like mining equipment. The Void Stalker was smart. They could not let it know it was walking into a trap. Linda trained every crew member. She taught them how to use rifles and pistols. She showed them how to fight in close quarters. She drilled them on emergency procedures. Some of the crew complained about the hard training, but after Linda showed them pictures of what the Void Stalker looked like, nobody complained anymore. Kate programmed the ship's systems. She created fake power fluctuations. She made the engines look unreliable. She set up false problems with life support. From the outside, The Endeavor would look like a ship that was barely functioning. Perfect prey for a predator. Nicole studied every piece of data they had. She made charts and graphs. She analyzed the creature's behavior patterns. She found that the Voidstalker preferred to attack when ships were moving slowly. It liked to position itself in blind spots where sensors could not detect it. It was patient, sometimes following prey for days before attacking. All the information helped them refine their plan. Finally, everything was ready. The trap was set. The crew was trained. The ship was prepared. Now they just needed the Voidstalker to take the bait. Jake called everyone to the bridge. He looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were ready. They were humans. They were hunters, and they were going to show this alien predator what that meant. Jake took the Endeavor through the asteroid field slowly. He made the ship move in an unsteady path as if the navigation systems were broken. Kate had programmed false errors into the computer. Every few minutes, warning lights flashed on the bridge. Power levels dropped and rose randomly. The engines made strange sounds. To any observer, the Endeavor looked like a ship in serious trouble. Perfect bait for a predator that hunted damaged vessels. The crew was nervous. Everyone was at their stations. Weapons were ready. The EM generators were hidden throughout the asteroid cluster ahead. The trap was set. Now they just needed the Voidstalker to fall for it. Jake sat in the captain's chair, trying to look calm. Inside, his heart was beating fast. This plan was dangerous. If it failed, they would all die. If it worked, they might still die. But doing nothing was not an option. For 3 days, nothing happened. The Endeavor drifted through the asteroids, looking weak and vulnerable. The crew began to wonder if the plan had failed. Maybe the Voidstalker had learned to be too cautious. Maybe it sensed the trap. On the 4th day, Kate noticed something. "Captain," she said quietly, "I am reading an anomaly. Something is moving parallel to our course. It is matching our speed. Distance is 8 kilometers and closing slowly." Jake felt his pulse quicken. 8 kilometers. That was just outside the Voidstalker's maximum sensing range. The creature was being careful. It was stalking them, staying at a safe distance while it studied them. "Everyone stay calm," Jake said over the ship-wide communication system. "Act normal. We do not want it to know we have detected it." The Endeavor continued its slow, erratic course. Kate tracked the anomaly on her sensors. The Voidstalker was following, but staying far enough away to feel safe. It was studying them, learning their patterns, waiting for the right moment to strike. Jake guided the ship gradually toward the prepared kill zone. He had to be subtle about it. If he turned too sharply, the creature might get suspicious. He made small course corrections, each one looking like a random drift caused by broken navigation. 7 kilometers. 6. The creature was getting bolder. Linda prepared her teams. They were positioned throughout the ship in armed shuttles ready to launch at a moment's notice. Each shuttle had weapons designed to exploit the Voidstalker's weaknesses. If the EM field worked as planned, those weapons would be effective. Ryan stood at the engineering station, his hand hovering over the controls for the EM generators. One button press would activate all of them at once. The asteroid cluster would light up with electromagnetic interference. 5 kilometers. 4. The Voidstalker was getting closer. Jake could almost feel the creature out there. It thought it was the hunter. It thought the Endeavor was prey. Soon it would learn the truth. Humans had been apex predators on Earth for thousands of years. They had not forgotten how to hunt. 3 kilometers. 2. The Endeavor entered the asteroid cluster where the EM generators were hidden. Jake took a deep breath. "Ryan," he said. "Light it up." Ryan pressed the button. Throughout the asteroid cluster, 30 EM generators came online simultaneously. The space around the Endeavor filled with powerful electromagnetic fields. Sensors went crazy. Communication became difficult. The interference was so strong it was almost visible. On the main view screen, they saw the effect immediately. The shimmer that marked the Voidstalker's position flickered and failed. For the first time, they could see the creature clearly without it attacking them. It was enormous, even bigger than Jake remembered from their brief encounter at the research station. The creature was about 4 meters long and 3 meters tall when standing upright. Its 6 limbs were thick with muscle. The black scales covering its body looked like natural armor. Its head was terrifying, all teeth and glowing eyes. But what scared Jake the most was the way it looked at the Endeavor. There was intelligence in those eyes, understanding. The Voidstalker realized immediately that it had been tricked. The creature changed direction instantly. It tried to escape the EM field, moving fast despite its size. But Linda's teams were ready. 4 armed shuttles launched from the Endeavor, positioning themselves at every exit point from the asteroid cluster. All teams, this is Linda. The target is trying to escape to the northeast. Team 2 intercept. Team 3 cover them. The shuttles moved to block the creature's escape. They opened fire with weapons specifically designed for this fight. The energy beams were tuned to penetrate the Voidstalker's armor. Without its camouflage and sensing abilities, the creature could not avoid the attacks as easily. The Voidstalker roared. The sound came through the radio, transmitted by the vibrations in the asteroids. It was a sound of rage and frustration. The creature had been the hunter for 23 years. Now suddenly it was the prey, but the Voidstalker was not giving up. It was smart and adaptable. It changed tactics quickly. Instead of trying to escape, it went on the attack. The creature pushed off an asteroid and flew straight at the nearest shuttle. The shuttle pilot, a young man named Greg Palmer, kept his cool. He had trained for this. He fired his thrusters at the last second, dodging the creature's charge. As the Voidstalker flew past, 2 other shuttles fired at its exposed underside. The energy beams hit their target. The creature's armor cracked. Dark blood sprayed into space, freezing instantly. The Voidstalker screamed again. This time the sound was pain. But it did not stop fighting. It grabbed onto an asteroid and pushed off toward another shuttle. Its movements were still incredibly fast despite its injuries. Linda coordinated the teams like a conductor leading an orchestra. She predicted the creature's moves and positioned her shuttles to counter them. When the Voidstalker tried to flank them, she had a shuttle waiting. When it tried to hide behind an asteroid, she drove it back into the open with weapons fire. This was human hunting strategy. Not overwhelming force, but cooperation and intelligence. Each shuttle played its part. They worked together, driving the creature deeper into the trap. The Voidstalker fought with desperate fury. It was fast and strong and smart. It adapted to their tactics quickly. But it was facing something it had never encountered before. It was facing organized human hunters who had evolved specifically to take down prey larger and more dangerous than themselves. The battle continued for 30 minutes. The Voidstalker took more hits. Its armor was cracked in multiple places. Blood leaked from a dozen wounds, but still it fought. Then Nicole, who had been studying the creature's movements, noticed something. "Captain," she said urgently, "the creature keeps trying to move toward that larger asteroid at the edge of the EM field. Every time we push it back, it tries again. There must be something there. Maybe a den or stored food." Jake looked at the asteroid she indicated. It was bigger than the others, with several deep caves. A perfect hiding place. The Voidstalker had probably lived there for years. Jake made a quick decision. If that asteroid was important to the creature, they could use it. "All shuttles return to the Endeavor immediately," he ordered. Linda looked confused but obeyed. The 4 shuttles broke off their attack and flew back to the ship. The Voidstalker, sensing an opportunity, immediately started moving toward its asteroid den. Ryan understood what Jake was planning. "Captain, are you sure about this?" "Do it," Jake said. "Target that asteroid. Full power." Ryan began charging the Endeavor's main mining laser. It was designed to break apart asteroids for easier mineral collection. It had never been intended as a weapon, but it would work. The Voidstalker was almost at its den. It thought it had won. It thought it had escaped. Jake aimed the mining laser carefully. The asteroid was structurally weak according to their geological scans. One good hit would shatter it. "Fire," he said. The mining laser fired. A beam of concentrated energy shot across space and hit the asteroid. For a moment, nothing happened. Then cracks appeared on the surface, spreading like lightning across the rock. The asteroid trembled, then it exploded. Not with fire because there was no air in space for burning, but the rock shattered into thousands of pieces. Chunks of stone flew in every direction, creating a deadly debris field. The Voidstalker was caught in the middle of it. Rocks the size of cars smashed into the creature from all sides. Its armor, already cracked from the shuttle attacks, could not protect it from this. The creature tried to dodge, but there were too many pieces coming too fast. Jake watched the view screen. The debris cloud slowly cleared. He could see the Voidstalker floating in space. It was not moving, the bridge was silent. Nobody spoke. They just stared at the screen, not quite believing it was over. Kate broke the silence. Her voice was quiet. "Captain, I am not reading any life signs from the target." Jake let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. They had done it. They had actually done it. A crew of 23 humans had hunted and killed a Class 12 Deathworld predator. Ryan sat down heavily in his chair. His hands were shaking slightly. "I cannot believe that worked." Linda's voice came over the radio from her shuttle. "Captain, permission to recover the body. The Galactic Union will want to study it." "Permission granted," Jake said. "But be careful. Make sure it is really dead before you get close." Linda and her team approached the Void Stalker carefully. They scanned it with every sensor they had. No heartbeat. No brain activity. No electrical signals. The creature was definitely dead. They used a cargo net to secure the body and brought it back to the Endeavor. It took all 4 shuttles working together to move something that large. When the body was secured in the cargo bay, the crew gathered to look at it. Up close, the Void Stalker was even more impressive. Its scales were like metal. Its claws were as long as a person's forearm. Its teeth could have crushed steel. Nicole examined the creature with scientific interest. "This is an incredible specimen. The adaptations are amazing. If it had been on Earth during our evolution, humans might never have survived." Linda looked at the body, but it did not evolve on Earth. It evolved on a world where it was the ultimate predator. It never had to deal with creatures like us, creatures that hunt in packs, creatures that use intelligence instead of strength. "That is what saved us," Jake said. "We did not try to be stronger or faster than it. We were smarter. We worked together. That is what humans do best." Over the next few days, the crew documented everything. They recorded all the data from the hunt. They took samples from the Void Stalker's body for study. They prepared a detailed report for the Galactic Union. Jake also made sure to include information about the 17 missing ships. The families of those lost crew members deserve to know what happened. It would not bring their loved ones back, but at least they would have answers. When the report was ready, Jake sent it to Galactic Union headquarters. He did not expect much of a response. They had done their job. They had eliminated a threat. That should be enough, but the response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, their report had spread through the entire Union. The story of how a single human ship had tracked and neutralized a Deathworld apex predator became the most talked about news in the galaxy. Messages came in from dozens of species. Some expressed gratitude. Some expressed disbelief. Some expressed a new respect for humans, and some expressed concern. If humans could take down a Class 12 predator, what else could they do? Kate read some of the messages to the crew. One message from a Zephon diplomat said something that made everyone quiet. It says, "We have studied your planet Earth for years. We thought we understood what a death world was. We thought we understood what made humans dangerous. We were wrong. You are not dangerous because of your strong gravity or your harsh weather. You are dangerous because you evolved as cooperative hunters on a world that forced you to be smart to survive. Every other species in the Union sees predators as threats to avoid. Humans see predators as prey to hunt. This changes everything." Jake thought about that for a long time. The Zephon diplomat was right. Other species ran from danger. Humans had learned to turn toward it, to study it, to figure out its weaknesses, to hunt it. The Galactic Union asked them to write a tactical manual based on their experience. They wanted to know how to deal with Deathworld predators. Jake assigned the task to Linda, who spent 2 weeks writing everything down. Her manual became required reading at every Union Security Academy. The Endeavor stayed in the Kepler 442 system for another month, completing their original survey mission. But now other ships avoided the area. Word had spread that this was where humans had hunted the Void Stalker. The asteroid field had become famous. Finally, it was time to go home. The Endeavor left the asteroid field and began the long journey back to Earth. The trip would take 3 months. Plenty of time to think about what they had accomplished. One night, Jake sat alone in his quarters looking at the stars through his window. Ryan came to visit, bringing 2 cups of coffee. "You did good, Captain," Ryan said, handing Jake a cup. "You saved a lot of lives." Jake sipped his coffee. "We all did it together. That is the point. No single person could have taken down that creature, but a team of humans working together could do it. Do you think other species understand that now?" That humans are not just another member of the Union? Jake smiled. I think they are starting to. For millions of years, humans climbed to the top of the food chain on one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy. We did it by being smarter than our prey, by working together, by refusing to give up. The Voidstalker learned what countless predators on Earth learned before it. What is that? That humans might look weak. We might seem soft compared to creatures from death worlds, but we are the ones who survived on a death world by hunting everything that tried to hunt us. Once a human decides something is prey, the hunt is already over. The only question is how long it will take. Ryan nodded. They sat in comfortable silence, drinking their coffee and watching the stars. Somewhere out in the galaxy, other species were learning a new lesson about humans. They were learning that Earth had produced something unique. Not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the most well-armed, but the most determined hunters the galaxy had ever seen. The Voidstalker had been the perfect predator on its world. But it had never encountered a species that had spent its entire evolutionary history learning to hunt perfect predators. That was what made humans special. That was what made them dangerous. Not strength or speed or natural weapons, but the simple ancient trait of refusing to be prey. The universe was full of predators. But now it had learned that humans were the ultimate hunters. And that changed everything. 3 months later, the Endeavor arrived at Earth. Jake stood on the bridge as their home planet appeared on the view screen. The blue oceans, the white clouds, the green and brown continents. After 6 months in space, Earth looked beautiful, but Earth also looked different to Jake now. Before, he had thought of his home as just another planet. Now he understood that Earth was special. It was a death world that had created a species of hunters unlike any other in the galaxy. The ship landed at the spaceport in Houston. A large crowd was waiting for them. News of their mission had reached Earth weeks ago. The crew of the Endeavor were heroes. As Jake walked down the ramp, he saw reporters and cameras everywhere. Government officials waited to greet them. Admiral Patterson, the head of Earth's space fleet, was there too. He shook Jake's hand firmly. Well done, Captain, the Admiral said. You and your crew have made Earth proud. You showed the galaxy what humans are capable of. Jake was tired of speeches and celebrations. But he knew they were important. The world needed heroes. People needed to know that humans could face even the most terrible threats and win. The crew spent a week giving interviews and attending ceremonies. They were given medals. They met with presidents and prime ministers. Everyone wanted to hear the story of how they hunted the Voidstalker. But the most important meeting was with the families of the people who had died on those 17 missing ships. Jake met with them personally. He told them what happened. He gave them copies of all the data they had recovered. It was hard. Many people cried. But they thanked him for giving them closure. One woman, whose son had been on a cargo ship that disappeared 12 years ago, held Jake's hands and looked into his eyes. Thank you, she said simply, for making sure that thing cannot hurt anyone else. My son would have wanted that. That meeting meant more to Jake than all the medals and ceremonies combined. The impact of their mission spread throughout the Galactic Union. Other species began to look at humans differently. Before, humans were seen as newcomers, interesting but not particularly important. Earth was just another member world. Now everything changed. Species that had ignored Earth before started sending diplomatic missions. They wanted to establish trade agreements. They wanted to learn from human military tactics. They wanted to understand how a species from a Class 10 world had successfully hunted a predator from a Class 12 world. The Galactic Union. Security Council invited Linda to teach at their main academy. She accepted and spent the next year training officers from dozens of different species. Her classes on cooperative hunting tactics became the most popular courses at the academy. Ryan was offered a position designing new ship systems for the Union fleet. His expertise in creating the EM trap had impressed many people. He spent his time developing new technologies to help ships defend against dangerous creatures. Nicole became the head of a new research program studying Deathworld species. The Union wanted to understand these creatures better, and Nicole was the perfect person to lead that work. She traveled to dozens of planets, always learning, always discovering. Kate remained on the Endeavor as communications officer. She liked working on the ship. She liked the crew. And she liked knowing that she had been part of something important. Jake continued as captain of the Endeavor. The ship went on many more missions, exploring new systems and making new discoveries. But they never forgot the asteroid field where they hunted the Void Stalker. A year after their return, Jake received an invitation to speak at a conference on Deathworld ecology. Representatives from hundreds of species would be there. He was nervous about speaking to such a large audience, but he knew it was important. The conference was held on a space station near the center of the galaxy. When Jake arrived, he was surprised to see how many people wanted to talk to him. Aliens of every type approached him with questions. One alien, a being made of crystal that communicated through light patterns, asked him a question that made him think. "Captain Morrison, your species has shown that intelligence and cooperation can overcome even the most dangerous predators. But does this not make your species the most dangerous predators in the galaxy?" Jake thought carefully before answering. This was an important question. "Maybe we are," he said honestly. "Humans evolved as hunters. That is part of who we are. But we also evolved as social beings who care about our communities. We hunt to protect, not to destroy. We faced the Void Stalker because it was killing innocent people. We will always stand against predators that threaten the innocent." The crystal being pulsed with light, thinking about this answer. "I understand now," it said. "Humans are predators, yes, but you are predators that hunt other predators. You are protectors. This is why the Union is fortunate to have humans as members." During his speech at the conference, Jake talked about cooperation and intelligence. He talked about how humans survived on Earth by working together. He talked about how important it was to understand your enemy before fighting them. He talked about courage and determination. But what people remembered most was his conclusion. The Void Stalker was the perfect predator on its world, Jake said. It had every advantage: strength, speed, intelligence, camouflage, the ability to sense prey from miles away. For 23 years, nothing could stop it. He paused, looking at the audience, but it had never met humans. It did not understand that humans are not prey. We are the species that looked at the most dangerous creatures on our planet and decided to hunt them. We are the species that survived by being smarter, not stronger. We are the species that refuses to run from a challenge. The audience was silent. "The galaxy is full of predators," Jake continued. "Some are animals. Some are intelligent beings. Some, like the Void Stalker, are somewhere in between. But from now on, all of them will know one thing. If they threaten innocent lives, humans will come for them. We will study them. We will find their weaknesses. We will work together. And we will never ever give up." The audience erupted in applause. Not all species could clap, but they all showed approval in their own ways. Some made sounds. Some flashed lights. Some released pleasant scents. After the conference, Jake returned to the Endeavor. Kate met him at the airlock with a smile. "Welcome back, Captain. Your speech is all over the galactic news networks. People are calling it inspiring." Jake smiled tiredly. "I just told the truth." "Sometimes the truth is inspiring," Kate said. That night, Jake sat in the observation deck looking at the stars. He thought about the journey that had brought him here. From a simple survey mission to hunting the most dangerous predator anyone had ever encountered. From being just another ship captain to becoming a symbol of what humans could achieve. But more than anything, he thought about his crew. 23 ordinary humans who faced an impossible challenge and won. They were not superhuman. They were not special soldiers or trained hunters. They were scientists and engineers and ordinary people who decided to stand up against evil. That was what being human meant. Not having the biggest muscles or the sharpest claws, but having the courage to face danger, the intelligence to find solutions, and the determination to never give up. The Void Stalker had learned this lesson too late. It had spent 23 years as the top predator in its territory. It thought nothing could challenge it. Then it met humans and discovered that it was not the hunter anymore. It was the prey. Jake smiled to himself. The galaxy was learning what Earth's predators had learned millions of years ago. You could be bigger than a human. You could be faster than a human. You could be stronger than a human. But if a human decided to hunt you, you were already finished. The only question was how long you would last. Outside the window, the stars stretched endlessly in all directions. Somewhere out there were more challenges, more dangers, more creatures that threatened innocent lives. And somewhere out there were humans ready to face those challenges, ready to stand between predators and their prey, ready to show the galaxy what it meant to be from a death world where the smartest species learned to hunt everything that tried to hunt them. The Endeavor's engines hummed to life. They had a new mission waiting, a new system to explore, and Jake had no doubt that whatever challenges they faced, his crew would be ready, because they were humans. And humans were hunters, the best hunters the galaxy had ever seen,